Hi everyone, it's SDS SuperCoach providing SuperCoach content for you. We're going to talk about the flex. We've got a few things to talk about here. So I'm going to talk about, I guess, sort of the game plan we can have for the flex from our starting team all the way till the end of the season. Because I think this deserves a video on itself. We need to figure out a game plan on how to use the flex and what will the meta be. So make sure you follow me on Twitter at Stephen D.W. Smith and also on TikTok at SDS_SuperCoach. Second video of the day. Let's smash this out. So let's get into it. So I guess the idea with flex is let's start with what we should do with our starting team. Now, we're in December. We are a fair way away from worrying about locking in our flex. There'll be multiple different players that we'll probably have over the preseason in this spot. Now, how should we execute it? So, I mean, I tweeted this out. It should really be either a cash cow or if you want to go with 3 premium ruckman or a value ruckman. So that's how I feel early days. So I guess, I mean, it can be any cash cow you like, really. Let's think of it this way. My early thoughts on what I'm seeing with teams is we've got the majority of us have these 5 blokes: Horn Francis, McRae, Bailey Smith, Philippou, sorry, Philippo, it's pronounced Philippo, and Caleb Daniel. So we'll talk about how we can use this as a cash cow. So if no hiccups, most of us are going to go with these 5 players in our starting team. Now, you might not be in this situation, but that's fine. We're trying to cover for most people here. 5 of these blokes, if there's no hiccups, the role and the information stays the same, we will probably be picking these 5 players, which means this leaves us 3 players in the forward line as a cash cow. And if we get into the position where we find if at some point during preseason where we have more than 3 really good cash cow options in our forward line, this is where the flex could come into play. Where, like, I don't know, let's think. So we know one player that could be a potential good cash cow, and that's Elijah Hewitt. So that's a lot of people who they're putting at their F6, or if they're looking to go maybe an Isaac Rankin in their forward line, they're looking to put Hewitt in there as well. So, and then let's just say here, Hewitt we pick heading into round 1. Kako becomes a really good option. We might hear that he could be playing midfield. We could hear that Joe Berry might be playing high half forward, which is, I think, sort of the role we expect for him to play in the future. So let's just say another one of these blokes pops up. Neil Erasmus. Neil Erasmus, the Dockers coach, confirms that he will probably look to play best 22, 119k, plays a wing role or the 5th midfield option. We'd probably want to have Neil Erasmus on our field, which is where the flex comes into play. You can look to put him on field. That's what we're talking about here. So a lot of this structure with the forward line is sort of limiting our rookie options. And if that gets overloaded, this is where the flex could come into play and help us out there. I guess with other cash cow situations, I mean, I think the defender spot looks like we're going 3, maybe 4 higher price 350 plus K blokes, and then maybe a Coleman at D5 or D4, which again, and I'm finding this very early that there are quite a few good defender rookies. We're talking about very early days. A lot can change, but Toby Travalia, Bo Allen, James Leake, and then you've got old mate Skibkiss and Zach Reed, 2024 rookie legends themselves. So that is a lot to take. And I guess we got to remember as well, building our starting team, we worry about putting the good rookies in place on field. And then that's where whatever money we have change, that's what we deal with our premiums. So we want to make sure that we get the rookies right to start with. So this could mean that, and don't forget Sardell Hawley as well. And I actually think if you're going the cash cow route, Sard El Hawley is actually a pretty good option because he's, in my opinion, he'll be one of the better rookies for this season at that price. So we probably want him on field. Plus, he provides defensive mid DPP, so that really intrigues us. So I actually don't think flex. Maybe early days it might help a little bit. I don't think it's the end of the world if you don't have DPP in the flex spot. I mean, it's just there for an extra cash cow. If you're going the cash cow way, it's just an extra cash cow that we can't fit into our current structure, going right into the flex spot. So he's a potential option. I mean, a lot more water to go under the bridge as over the next couple of months. But if we're talking about the midfield cash cows, so I mean, we are all looking at quite a few of these top 10 draft picks. We're looking at Laylaw. Not many people looking at is it Laylaw or Lawler? I've got a feeling it's Lawler. So Sam Lawler, I don't think many people are looking at him just because there's no guarantee he'll play. Finn O'Sullivan's pretty popular. Jagger Smith, we're looking at Sid Draper. We're looking at Levi Ashcroft. We're looking at Josh Smiley. Uh, not many people are talking about Xavier Lindsay, but I really like him as a rookie early days. Leo Lombard, like there is a lot of, and this is a really good draft as well. So we want to get some of these blokes if the right role comes into play for them. But the problem is we can't fit them all in. So I think a very popular cash cow way for people in the flex is to put. I think from what I'm seeing with most sides at the minute is 4 or 5, mainly 5 of these 450 plus K premium midfielders: Ashcroft, Oliver, Butters, Bont, Petrarca. There's quite a few. We're seeing a fair few of these sort of blokes, and roughly about 5 of them in people's sides, where we can actually only fit probably 3 of these blokes on field, and where Jagger Smith's a great option. Josh Smiley, Xavier Lindsay, they're my 3 at the minute, right there. But you're missing out on a Finn O'Sullivan on field or a Sid Draper if he gets that role, or a Levi Ashcroft. This is where the flex can help here because we don't really want to be benching these top price mids unless they're not a good on-field option. We've got a bit of extra cash. So that's why I think the flex can work here and we can put Levi Ashcroft just so we don't miss out on that potential cash generation, that sort of thing. So that's my early thoughts with the cash generation side of the flex for the time being. Now, as we move into the ruck, now I think it's either going the cash cow way or the ruck or the third ruck way. So let's talk about the 2 ways with the ruckman. So I guess some people looking at the premium side of the flex. So people might be starting. I mean, Max Gawn's now currently injured, but people might be looking at Gawn and Cherry, and then they want to look at that third ruckman because they really like them as a premium. It's Tom de Koning, for example. So that's a way to, if you want to have 3 ruckmen, but you are locking yourself into 3 premium ruckmen where ideally you don't want to be trading any of these blokes unless they get injured. And that's sort of capping what you can do with the flex down the line, which I will talk about a little bit later as we go during the season. And I guess the other one is I'm seeing a lot of Tristan Sherry, Tom de Koning, and then we're going to have a look at Matthew Flynn from the Eagles, where the reports are he could be the number 1 ruckman down there for the Eagles. So I've currently got, I've currently in my side, I've got Tim English, de Koning, and Flynn, but I'm very tempted to swap that to de Koning and Matthew Flynn as those 2 rucks at this stage, and then maybe fitting like a Finn O'Sullivan, Levi Ashcroft type in the flex spot. But Tristan Sherry is very much on my radar, but that's what other people are doing, and I think this could work. You don't want Matthew Flynn stuck at R3. We ideally want a bloke. We ideally want a rookie ruckman. I don't know, 150k or less in this R3 spot. And if there's none of them, then ideally we're picking a loop player like potentially a Thomas Sims from the Tigers, who where Richmond play a lot of late games this season. The only problem with that is they play round one Thursday night, of course, against the Blues, where we actually can't use the loop round one. So that's actually pretty funny. But yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are looking at. And I don't think there's a clear way. It's just however you want to set up your structure. But they're the two most popular ideas for the flex. Is if you can't fit in all these top end draftees on field in your midfield spot, then you potentially look at getting an El Hawley on field here, or a Levi Ashcroft, Sid Draper, those sort of types. Ruck, if you're looking at field 3 premium ruckman, your third premium ruck goes there, or a Matty Flynn if you want to go a Cherry and DeConning, that sort of thing. If you're looking in the back line and you want to field a back line, cash generator. Sorry, we're looking at Sardell Hawley. And then in the forward line, if we're running out of room for good rookies, then we can put in potentially an Elijah Hewitt here. So they're my thoughts in our starting team with what we'll probably look to do. Now, during the season, so as I said before, if you're going with Gawn and Cherry here, and then you go with Tom DeConing here, this is where the problem probably fits in if you want to play these 3 ruckmen. Because I think the ultimate goal with the flex will be that we want to be fielding probably the best averaging player that we don't have in our best 22 here. So that could mean potentially, let's just say we're going. So yeah, back to Gawn and Cherry here, where Tom DeConing, let's just say all these blokes are healthy. We don't really want to be moving premiums, that sort of thing. Then that's where it comes into play, because Tom DeConing might be averaging 108, where compared to maybe the 9th best midfielder, they could be averaging 113, 114, and you're losing out points each week just because you wanted to field 3 ruckmen. Or it might be that Cherry or Gawn, okay, they're fine, and DeConning's fine, but there's this other ruckman that's averaging 7, 8 points more than one of the ruckmen you've locked into. So it might be like a Rowan Marshall who's moved back into the ruck, who's scoring 10 extra points on one of your ruckmen. So that's where the problem comes in. If you want to go primo, I guess the problem if you want to put Matty Flynn there is you might be upgrading that flex spot too early, and you might ideally want to be upgrading a flex spot last, because I reckon personally, let's just say you got Cherry and DeConning here. I actually think as your last upgrade, a Max Scorn's very interesting, because dealing with Max Scorn for a whole entire season at this age is risky, but the ceiling is so high with best 22, where he could just carry you to a massive score. But he can also drop in an 80, but that's fine because it's best 22 out of 23 players on field. Or if we want to be, if you're going the cash generation way, then you can, throughout the season, you can be swapping rookies, that sort of thing. Let's just say you go with Levi Ashcroft. He gets to 350k. When did Brisbane have the bye? I should have probably checked that. Buy is buy. He's got a 120 break even, and he's 340k. You look to shift to someone else, and it's sort of that sort of play. If you want to make sure with this flex that you've got a player on field that you're comfortable with, there's no point putting like a Zach Reed here. I think he's just a good little cash generator off the bench if he's healthy. We don't want to be putting blokes that you're not comfortable on field with here. You want to be putting in a strong positioned cash generator that you just can't fit into your structure. So yeah, that's my thoughts. I think the end goal here is I don't think you can beat. I think as options, like let's have a look here. Let's just say you got Bont, Butters, Neil, Dacos, Heaney, Sarong, Merritt, Dunkley, Cripps as your eight. I think that's eight. But there is a midfielder that you're missing that is probably top four. Then the flex is probably the best spot to try to get this ninth midfielder in. Or if there's three rucks averaging 115 plus and you've only got two of them, the flex is a good spot. So that's why I think the flex is really good for potentially like a Max Scorn where you're holding him for the last 8 weeks of the season. The risk is a lot less compared to the entire season of Max Scorn. So, where he can deliver those spike scores. Now, I wouldn't be going crazy. Like, I wouldn't be putting you could put a key forward here, but you don't want to handle, like, one of these players may get injured during a game and your key forward scoring a 40. That's not ideal. So that's just my thoughts on the game plan. I think how I'm going to do it, I think I'm going to have a play around with this team after the video, potentially looking at DeConning and Flynn at my ruck spots and potentially looking to get like a Levi Ashcroft, Finn O'Sullivan in this flex spot, or a Hewitt or El Hawley. Early thoughts. So yeah, that is my view on the flex. I think I've carried on about this. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys. There's a lot of elements and strategy. There's a fair bit of strategy when it comes to the flex, and I think it will go multiple ways. Very excited. I think it's a great addition to the game. Let me know what you guys think of the flex in the comments down below. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. Really appreciate all the support. Yeah, that is my second video done for the day. So I've got a few things to do today. So I think we'll wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope that all makes sense to you. I know there's a lot of different elements here, but leave any comments down below if you have any questions and I'll answer them. Thank you guys so much for watching. Cheers.